Lakewood Church, at its height, drew 16,000 people every week to a former NBA arena. More than a church, it was a spectacle, a place where faith and showmanship intersected. From plush seats to giant video screens and a full orchestra, every detail was designed to awe. Joel Osteen's sermons focused on hope, positivity, and personal uplift, creating an experience that extended far beyond traditional worship. Visitors came not only for spiritual guidance, but for an event-like atmosphere. Yet even the largest congregations face vulnerability. Lakewood's story raises a question. How does an empire built on crowds falter when the spectacle meets reality? The arena of faith. Lakewood's main campus resembles a stadium more than a traditional church. The building once hosted NBA playoff games and rock concerts, but now serves as a worship arena seating over 16,000. On Sundays, lights dim, choirs rise, and bands emerge from lifts, while massive video screens display lyrics and close-ups. Volunteers guide families, parking crews direct cars, and the concourse hums like a sporting event. Every element is engineered for scale, comfort, and engagement. For many attendees, the experience is as much about the production as the preaching. In this environment, the church becomes a stage, and every member of the audience a participant in a carefully orchestrated performance. Understanding megachurches. Megachurches are not simply large congregations. According to the Hartford Institute for Religion Research, they are Protestant congregations with at least 2,000 weekly attendees. By 2020, the U.S. had around 1,750 megachurches, many designed to accommodate crowds rivaling small stadiums. These churches offer more than sermons. They scale experiences with coffee shops, bookstores, children's centers, and coordinated parking. Their architecture and programming are designed to attract and retain people, blending entertainment, convenience, and spiritual engagement. Lakewood fits this mold, emphasizing the importance of attendance, production quality, and brand visibility as much as doctrine. Spectacle, it turns out, can become a church's core identity. Origins of the megachurch model. The model traces back to two influential leaders in California. Robert Schuller's Crystal Cathedral used television to make faith positive, polished, and accessible. Meanwhile, Bill Hybels of Willow Creek Community Church pioneered the seeker-sensitive approach, removing traditional rituals, adding contemporary music, and creating a corporate-style campus. Both emphasized experience over ceremony, aiming to reach people who might avoid conventional churches. Their strategies influenced countless congregations, including Lakewood. The focus shifted from purely spiritual growth to designing a place and program that could attract large numbers. In doing so, megachurches learned that crowd building often outweighed doctrinal depth. The warning signs. Even as megachurches grew, challenges emerged. Willow Creek commissioned the Reveal study, which found that higher participation did not equate to deeper spiritual growth. Programs could fill seats, but not necessarily strengthen faith. Hybels acknowledged that their model had prioritized crowd size over discipleship. This study circulated widely, sparking debate among church leaders. Many questioned whether spectacle-based growth could create resilient, lasting faith, yet the momentum of megachurches was too powerful to slow. Budgets, campuses, and cultural influence continued to favor scale and production. Lakewood, already prominent, faced similar risks but was fully committed to the model of high-impact worship and expansive reach. Joel Osteen's rise. In 1999, John Osteen's sudden death thrust his son Joel into the role of senior pastor. Joel's approach reflected his background in television production. Sermons became shorter, language softened, and the focus shifted from sin and repentance to positivity, personal destiny, and God's favor. Attendance soared, and Lakewood became a national brand through TV and books. Faith in this era became about encouragement rather than doctrine. The congregation responded enthusiastically. Joel's leadership emphasized that belief could transform life in tangible ways. His message resonated with those seeking hope, establishing Lakewood as a high-production, media-savvy church with global reach and a model built on positivity and spectacle. Transforming the campus, Lakewood's renovation of its former NBA arena reinforced its commitment to spectacle. In 2005, the church spent roughly $95 million to upgrade seating, sound systems, children's areas, and cafes. The scale of the project sent a clear message. The church was investing in experience as much as worship. The upgrades made it possible to host multiple high-production services every weekend, turning the space into a fully immersive environment. With high overhead and maintenance costs, every decision, from programming to outreach, was shaped by the need to keep the arena full. Lakewood's identity became inseparable from the spectacle, locking the church into a model reliant on crowds and consistent engagement. Cracks in public trust. In 2017, Hurricane Harvey tested Lakewood's image. When flooding forced temporary closure, the church initially directed people to other shelters, leading to criticism online. Observers shared photos that seemed to contradict the church's statements, sparking debate over transparency and responsibility. Lakewood eventually opened as a shelter and mobilized volunteers to aid relief efforts, but the incident revealed the fragility of public trust. Even churches built on hope and spectacle can face backlash when their actions appear inconsistent with their message. It was a reminder that credibility and trust are as essential to a congregation as attendance and experience. The pandemic and shifting habits. In 2020, COVID-19 forced churches nationwide to close. Survey data showed that Americans identifying as non-attendees jumped from 26% to around 35%, many never returning. High-profile examples like Mars Hill Church in Seattle, which collapsed after leadership controversies, underscored the risk of tying a congregation's identity too closely to a single leader. The pandemic accelerated long-term trends, challenging the assumption that spectacle and charisma alone could sustain attendance. For Lakewood and similar churches, the question became not how to fill seats, but how to maintain engagement when physical presence was impossible, revealing the limits of an arena-based model dependent on in-person experiences. Attendance versus engagement. The data reflects a broader cultural shift. Gallup reported that, for the first time in modern history, less than half of Americans belong to a house of worship. Megachurches like Lakewood show that growth is not guaranteed by production values or media presence alone. Habit, trust, and meaningful engagement matter. As attendance patterns change, churches must consider whether spectacle is sufficient to cultivate lasting spiritual roots. Congregants' experiences at home, streaming services alone rather than joining thousands, highlight a growing disconnect between the promise of transformation and the reality of participation, forcing churches to reimagine sustainable models for connection. The challenge ahead. When a church's identity is tied to scale and spectacle, disruptions can expose vulnerabilities. Lakewood's story demonstrates that trust, habit, and engagement are as crucial as attendance and production quality. The institution faces the challenge of maintaining relevance in a society where fewer people attend in person, where crises can challenge credibility, and where faith habits are shifting. For churches built on high-impact experiences, the lesson is clear. Sustainability requires more than spectacle. Depth, resilience, and trust are essential to weather storms, whether social, economic, or natural. The future depends on valuing substance as much as scale. Conclusion. Beyond the spectacle, Lakewood Church is a case study in both success and vulnerability. Its arena-like campus, polished productions, and uplifting messages built one of America's largest congregations. Yet cracks in public trust and cultural shifts reveal limits to spectacle-based models. High attendance does not guarantee engagement, and even the most visible churches can falter when foundations shift. For faith communities, the lesson is enduring. Creating meaningful, resilient connections matters more than filling seats. Spectacle can draw crowds, but lasting impact comes from trust, shared values, and experiences that go beyond the stage and survive storms of all kinds.